Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jubilee Circle this morning. Thank you so much for being out there live on the YouTube, and thank you so much for being here in the room today. If you would like a bulletin, they're over there on the credenza here in the room, and if you would like one out there, or even if you want to tune in to the online one here inside, you can go to jubileecircle.com, and there is a link to the current bulletin right there on the front page. While you're there, drop a couple of dimes in the bucket for us too. There's a donation page there as well. So, and Lee will be putting up, even though I didn't discuss with him, but Lee will be putting up that donation chyron now and then, just during the service, so you can see where you can. If you got a few extra bucks, give them to us. All right, here we go. 2, 3, 4. There's never been a day when the world wasn't new, when the sun did not rise or the light break on through. Things might get a little worse before they get a little better, but there's always clearer skies stretching out beyond that weather, and the world holds its breath just to see where we'll incline this time. Something has shifted. I know the story has changed. In the window of a crisis, we can build a better frame. Come on and look inside. It's the best place to start. And the greatest revolution is a simple change of heart. I can't put the sacred in such a little box, because it's not. There's no shame in learning something when there's something that must be learned. But there's danger when we will not see what our actions earn. Courage doesn't always shout, but whispers and reminds. When we get up one more morning and we try another time, we tried yelling at each other. It hasn't worked so well. Throwing gas on the fire never helped, as far as I can tell. Throwing stones cut deep, a little kindness goes deeper still. Carrie Newcomer, boy, we could just do Carrie Newcomer every week. So that'll make Michael happy. I think he's a new fan of Carrie. All right, so welcome again to Jubilee Circle. We are so glad that you are here with us this morning. And I forgot what to do with all my accoutrements. We are sort of back to CC and the Recalcitrants 1.0 this morning. It's basically the original band. Bruce and Leslie had some commitments this morning, so they were not being able to join us. And Camille is out for her birthday. She's away on a birthday weekend, so happy birthday to Camille. So the original CC and the Recalcitrants, Michael Reisman over here, sprinkles on the piano and violin and everything else he does over there. Bruce? He's missing. Beth DeHart. Oh, Cece, of course, our original recalcitrant. Beth DeHart on drums. What's his name? Keith Edwards. Senior on the bass back there. And Trisha Fopp on our 12-string and vocals over here. So thank you, band. This is the faithful core of Cece and the Recalcitrants. And this is Pax. He's my puppy. Don't want to leave him alone.
Downward dog. He's doing his yoga.
He's doing his downward dog, yes. All right. So again, welcome. We're continuing our VIA Creativa theme of living in the light. Winter, it's a time of the emerging light. As you've noticed, the evenings are getting a little bit longer. We have a little bit more light these days going on, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so that reminds us that we are the light, and we are to increase our light out into the world. Yes, thank you, Bob. Next Sunday is daylight savings time, so we are going to spring forward, which means you lose an hour of sleep, sorry. So everybody's going to be a little bit sleepy. So 11 becomes 12, and so if you don't spring forward, you'll get the tail end of of Deb, because Deb's going to be here next week delivering the message. So yeah, so please keep that in mind, that we are changing our times next week. All right. Buddhist teacher Jack Kornfield tells the story of a monastery of monks that was on the decline. They struggled with how to bring people back to their beautiful retreat when one had the idea to go and visit a nearby rabbi who had been known to be skilled in discernment. So one monk went to visit the rabbi, and he came back and he told the other monks that the rabbi had told him that he had seen in a vision that the Messiah was among the monks who were living at this monastery. And they were all shocked to hear this. I mean, they knew each other pretty well, right? But they immediately began to wonder, well, who could be so holy here that they are the Messiah? I mean, it couldn't be one of the brothers who was always impatient, and it certainly was not the laziest monk among them. Certainly each of them thought, well, it can't be me. You know, I know me, so it can't be me. So, however, because they couldn't be certain who exactly was the Messiah among them, they began to treat themselves and each other as if they could be the Messiah. You just never know. So, be on the safe side. They worked to outdo each other in honoring the holy that must be within each other, just in case that one could be the Messiah. And lo and behold, soon people began to return to this monastery. News of this beautiful place and the gentle monks who lived there, it spread all around the countryside, and soon the monastery became a renowned center for teaching and learning, all because those monks changed their perspective, and they saw the Christ in everyone around them, and then they extended that love to everyone. And this jubilance is how we are called to live in the world, to live in the light of charity that sees the holy in everyone, including ourselves. And when we're called to live this way, outdoing one another in kindness, in love and mercy, that's when the whole world gets to say, oh yeah. Please rise as you're able. And we begin every Jubilee Circle celebration in the same manner. We remember the four elements, the air and the water and the earth and the fire. And we burn sage as a reminder that this is a time, yes, this is a time to set your intentions, to set your personal intentions, to be that love and joy and kindness in the world, and to set your intention for the world, that you being love and peace and joy in the world changes the whole world into loving and peaceful, merciful, compassionate. And we center ourselves in this sacred time and space by calling the four directions. So I invite you to turn and face the east. We celebrate Holy One as a new day dawns, signaling yet another day for us to shine your light of love. Help us to see the holy in this moment, to turn a blind eye to what the world sees as ugly. Let us be like the sun, shining your beautiful and holy love and warmth wherever we go. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the south. The warm winds of the south, they're trying their best to arrive And even as the ugly green pollen begins to blanket our cars and induce our sneezing, we give thanks for the beauty of spring. Remind us that spring is that fertile time of growth for all of us. Help us, Holy One, to see the beauty of the holy that is ready to emerge from us and bring new life into the world. Quarter turn to the right, and we face the west. Holy One, when those nagging problems we ruminate on make their appearance in our mind, let us take a lesson from the west. Just as the light gives way to the dark, help us to loosen our grip on our problems, on the anxieties that plague us, and instead relax into the beauty of the stars and remember our place in this magnificent universe. Quarter turn to the right, we face the north. As the saying goes here in the south, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. We've experienced that one, Holy One, as the cold winds of the north often retake the stage, putting on its encore performance before spring can fully assert itself. Remind us, Holy One, that growing and changing are not often straight-line propositions. Instead, just as winter bumps into spring, there's always a give and take, cold and warmth, death and new birth in each moment of our lives. Help us recognize the beauty of the changing seasons. And as we turn back toward the center, you'll find a bunch of people who tend to see both the ugly and the beauty around them. And I invite you in this safe and sacred space, put on the eyes of the holy. Begin to see the beauty in everything our ego wants to call ugly. Because when we can change our perspective and see the world as lovely as it is, that's when we all get to say, oh yeah. All right. Thanks. We got an extra rhythm section back here. I love it. It's great. All right. Let's get that room a little saged up a little here. All right. Lee? All right. Band? All right. Rain standing, we're going to sing an opening song here from Jason Mraz about seeing the beauty in ugly, the things we call ugly, the things the ego says are ugly. Sing a little bit about that as soon as I get here. And as we sing, I invite you all to dance. Yeah, this is a good dancing song. You're going to want to dance to this one. Dance, sing, and greet one another. All right. We ready? All right. She's so big-hearted, but not so remarkable. Just an ordinary, humble girl. Expecting nothing as we're made to think it's a pretty person's world. 2, 3, 4. But you are beautiful and you better go show it, so go look again. Gotta be true to your own if you really wanna go to the top. Do you really wanna win? Don't believe in leaving normal just to satisfy demand. And well, if you wanna be free, and if you want to do the passionate thing, and if you want to get smart for the sake of your heart and all, you should own your name and stand up tall and get real. You see the beauty in ugly. Well, you are fresh, your face is fabulous. Don't forget you're one of a kind. When nobody's checking the deeds you've done and nobody's hearing your cries, you make all the fashion statements just by dressing up your mind. Well, if you want to get free, and if you want to do the passionate thing, and if you want to get smart for the sake of your heart and all, you can own your name and stand up tall and get real. And see the beauty in ugly. And see the beauty in ugly. Well, if you want to get free, and if you want to do the passionate thing, and if you want to get smart for the sake of your heart and all, you can own your name and stand up tall and get real. And see the beauty in ugly. And see the beauty in ugly. Y'all may be seated. All right. That was some good dancing back there, kids. Man, that was great. All right, a little bit about Jubilee Circle itself. We are an inclusive, progressive interfaith community here in Columbia, South Carolina, broadcasting around the world with the help of Lee McEachern over there on the computer and the cameras. So thank you for Lee for all of that. We teach the timeless common wisdom of love and unity that you find in all mainstream religions, in metaphysical philosophies, mysticism, and inspired secular and religious writers and teachers throughout the ages. We use popular music and teachings, weekly celebrations, educational and artistic events, and other community-building activities because we're trying to create a space for everyone to experience transformation so then they can go and transform the world, be that transformation in the world. We believe we're here to expand our souls, to find a deeper meaning to life, to renew our commitment to love and peace and justice so we can learn how to love wastefully and undergo a transformation from the inside out so then we live more frequently in our higher divine self. We also recognize we're part of God's good creation. We're made in love. We're formed in joy as well as stardust. But we humans, we forget this. We believe instead that we're lost in this world of paradox and separation where we encounter others as other than us. And so we start the judging. You're beautiful, you're ugly, you're good, you're bad, you're generous, you're stingy, you're loving, and you're just plain recalcitrant. Obstreperous. We don't have Bruce to fill us in on the thesaurus this morning. But let us remember our true function here, Jubilants. It is to remember who we truly are, to return to that higher divine self, to awaken to what we already are, the vastness and beauty of this entire universe, which should make you say, oh yeah, all right. So we had a meeting last week with the congregation, and one of the things that the congregation that was present had suggested was that we move our announcements to the end of the celebration, so we don't sort of break up the momentum we got right now that I'm killing at this moment, making this announcement. So we're going to move our announcements to the end. If you have bulletins, everything I'm going to say in the announcements, it's in there. So read the bulletin. Read the bulletin. It's in there. All right, so we're moving on. Hear these wise and holy words.
From A Course in Miracles, chapter 27. Dream of your holy siblings' kindness instead of dwelling in your dreams on their mistakes. Select their thoughtfulness to dream about instead of counting up the hurts they gave. Forgive them their illusions and give thanks to them for all the helpfulness they gave. And do not brush aside their many gifts because they are not perfect in your dreams. They represent our holy parent, whom you see as offering both life and death to you. Your holy siblings give but life, yet what you see as gifts your holy siblings offer represents the gifts you dream your holy Creator gives to you. Let all your holy siblings' gifts be seen in light of charity and kindness offered to you, and let no pain disturb your dream of deep appreciation for the gifts to you. From Buddhist monk Pema Chodron. Love and compassion are like the weak spots in the walls of ego. They are like a naturally occurring opening, and they are the opening we take. If we connect with even one moment of good heart or compassion and cherish it, our ability to open will gradually expand. Beginning to tune into even the minutest feelings of compassion or appreciation or gratitude softens us. When I was a child, there was a comic strip character named Popeye. At times, he was really, really weak, and at those vulnerable moments, the big bully Bluto was always standing there ready to reduce poor Popeye to dust. But old Popeye would get out his can of spinach, open it up, and gulp it down. He'd just pour the spinach into his mouth, and then wham! Full of confidence and strength, he could relate with all the demons. That's what happens when we use our emotions to touch in with our noble heart. Bodhicitta, it's like spiritual spinach. From A Circle of Atonement's Emily Bennington. God created Christ. That is the self that we all share. The Christ is what's real. God created it. We made these bodies, and yet all we're really doing is looking at each other through the lens of these bodies that we made and not seeing beyond the form of these bodies to the truth of us all, which is the Christ. If we did see that, Then we would see the holiness in each other because we're seeing the Christ.
These are wise and holy words. Thanks be to the holy. All creation is holy word. All creation speaks volumes of the holy. Hallelujah. Let's stand and sing. Remember your part. Lean in toward the light. That's your part. Let's practice. Lean in toward the light. I didn't hear anything. Let me try again. Lean in toward the light. That's it. There we go. Winter is the oldest season. Lean in toward the light, but quietly beneath the snow. Lean in toward the light. Seas are stretching out and reaching. Lean in toward the light, faithful as the morning glow. Lean in toward the light. Carry nothing but what you must. Lean in toward the light. Let it go, shake off the dust. Lean in toward the light. Today is now, tomorrow beckons. Lean in toward the light. Keep practicing resurrection. Lean in toward the light. The prayer I pray at eventide. Lean in toward the light. All left undone, be put aside. Lean in toward the light. Forgiveness is hard to find. Lean in toward the light. Help me at least to be kind. Lean in toward the light. Lean in toward the light. Lean in. Oh yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. The band may find a seat out in the audience if they would like. Out in the yard, out wherever you'd like to go. Yeah, band out. That's right. Out in the parking lot. All right. Breathe deeply. I was in third grade when I became aware for the first time that I had an enemy. The whole class was working quietly on an assignment, and I was engrossed in whatever it was we were doing, and I heard the teacher call my name. She asked me to come to her desk. And I walked up there, and she informed me that another girl in class had told her that I was making faces during our quiet work time. Now me, come on. Really? I was very different in third grade. I was horrified at this on so many different levels. First, I was horrified at being falsely accused. I had not been making faces, never once. And I didn't make faces in class back then. I was not the class clown quite yet. It did evolve. So I protested my innocence, but the teacher wasn't hearing it. She believed the tattletale and reprimanded me. Now, I don't even recall the name of this girl who made up this terrible lie about me, but I do recall seeing her smirk at me as I returned to my desk. And so I put my head down on the desk and just cried for a few minutes because, I'm in third grade, come on. But I had this new horror take a hold of me. I had an enemy. I had never had one before. In fact, I didn't even know this girl who had made up this horrible, outrageous story about me. It's not like she had bullied me on the playground or made fun of me. Up until that moment, we had had zero interactions with one another. So what would make her hate me so much that she would make up this lie and tell it to the teacher just to get me in trouble? And why me? Why not one of the other 30 kids in the room? I was baffled. And then I was suspicious. of everyone. If someone could come out of nowhere like that and just make stuff up and get me into trouble, then everyone was capable of that. This was the end of my innocence and the beginning of my reliance on fear over love. The appearance of this enemy convinced me to accept the ego's belief that the only way to keep myself safe from attack was if I attacked first. It's like everyone, including myself, became Pig-Pen from the comic strip Peanuts. Everybody suddenly was covered in that moving dirt cloud that A Course in Miracles might call the ego. I could see it. And I say, I too became like Pig-Pen in that moment because we project out onto the world what we believe others in the world to be like. And then because we're assuming we're like that too. If they're like that, then I could be like that. I could be somebody's enemy. I could turn on someone like that. If we accept the Augustinian doctrine of original sin and believe that everyone in the world is stained with some original moral disability at birth, then we believe that we too must have that mark on us. I read a recent article about the psychology of the character of Pig-Pen. It was fascinating. Pig-Pen, this writer posits, represents the idea of an original sin passed down from the start of all of this madness. At one point, he's visiting Lucy's psychology kiosk, and he opines to her, "How would you like to go through life being called Pig-Pen?" And Lucy asks him, "Well, Pig-Pen, what was your dad's name?" To which Pig-Pen replies, "Pig-Pen Sr." And we all believe we came from Pig-Pen Sr., or that original sin committed by Adam and Eve in the garden that doomed us all to be known as Pig-Pen forever and ever. Pig-Pen also fulfills another thing that our ego needs to survive, and that is specialness. We love to perceive the Pig-Pens around us because it makes us feel superior. We say to ourselves, I may be a filthy sinner like the rest of these separated bodies I see, but at least I'm not as bad as that one over there. Look how especially filthy that Pig-Pen is. Lucy asks Pig-Pen at one point if it's possible for him to go just 1 hour without getting dirty. And Pig-Pen's reply reveals the deep pain we all feel because we are stuck in the clutches of the ego. He says, do you have any idea how painful a migraine can be? What this means, jubilants, is that we are addicted to our ego. We can't quit this thing that causes us so much continuous pain, like a migraine. We can't even go an hour without being dirtied by its need to judge, its need to fear others, its need to attack or compare or project its pain and grievances out onto other people. What a conundrum we've created for ourselves, jubilants. How do we overcome this addiction to the ego's relentless game of seek but do not find that causes us to see ourselves as eternally dirty, addicted to despair, and seeing ourselves as a Pig-Pen permanently stained at our creation? We need a miracle, right? Well, we know that miracles involve two things: a shift in perception and an extension of love. First, then, we shift our perception. Instead of viewing everyone around us with suspicion and seeing them as filthy Pig-Pens awash in this dust cloud of sin and fear and attack and grievance, we do as the Course instructs from this morning's reading. Dream of your holy siblings' kindness instead of dwelling in your dreams on their mistakes. Select their thoughtfulness to dream about instead of counting up the hurts they gave. Forgive them their illusions and give thanks to them for all the helpfulness they gave. And do not brush aside their many gifts because they are not perfect in your dreams. Let all your holy siblings' gifts be seen in light of charity and kindness offered you, and let no pain disturb your dream. of deep appreciation for their gifts to you. And yeah, that seems like a tall order when all we tend to perceive are the pig-pens of the world mucking things up, causing suffering and seeming to take pleasure in their greed and their fear-mongering and their selfish actions. But there is a second part to this miracle, and that is the extension of love. And this is important. Our ego has no interest in extending love to those we perceive to be separate from us. In fact, it's impossible for our ego to even do that. We're like Lucy in the psychiatrist's booth. She has no intention of trying to understand Pig-Pen. She just wants his 5 cents. That's the ego at work. What can I get from you? If I act like I love you, maybe you give me a tip on that 5 cents. Manipulation, that's what the ego thinks love is. To extend love into the world, then, jubilants, we must become like another cartoon character, Popeye. So to everyone around him, Popeye is just this bumbling sailor man trying to win the affection of Olive over Bluto's advances on her. And when he needs strength to overcome those obstacles, such as Bluto, he eats his spinach. We're like Popeye in that while we are growing in our spirituality, we need some outward spinach to remind us of the inner strength that we already possess, because we are originally blessed, because we are innocent, beloved children of God, unstained by an original sin. This goodness is our inheritance, and it makes us eternally invulnerable to anything this world can dish out. Until we know that, beyond a doubt whatsoever, though, we need our spiritual spinach, as Buddhist nun Pema Chodron calls it. When we get that spiritual spinach, we do it through our spiritual practices, such as studying and gathering in community, learning from different teachers, doing meditation, especially loving kindness meditations, to create what the Buddhists call bodhicitta, or an awakened heart. Love and compassion, Chodron says, are like weak spots in the wall of the ego. They are like a naturally occurring opening. And they are the opening that we take. If we connect with even one moment of good heart or compassion and cherish it, our ability to open will gradually expand, beginning to tune into even the minutest feelings of compassion or appreciation or gratitude softens us, she says. This jubilance is our spiritual spinach. The ego's weak spots of love and compassion, this is what we cultivate in those spiritual practices. And we keep cultivating them until they become a habit. And they change our perception of those in the world around us. We begin to see everyone, I'm not making any exceptions here, everyone as holy. If we practice long enough, we'll begin to understand that our spiritual practices are just tools. They're just tools we need to realize this strength, the ability to work the miracle of extending love. That's already within us. And as we extend love to others, seeing them as holy, then we will begin to see ourselves that way too. You see how it flips? If we're seeing original sin, we think we're part of the original sin. But if we see original goodness, we see original blessing. If we can see that in others, we can see it in ourselves. And if we can see it in ourselves, then the dirt and the grime of the ego falls away from everyone we see, including ourselves. In this moment, extending love becomes a habit, just something we do naturally without even thinking about it. Emily Bennington with the Circle of Atonement lays it out this way. This is very systematic. So God created Christ. That is the self that we all share. The Christ is what's real, this higher divine self. God created it. We made these bodies. Fractals. Right, fractals? We made these bodies, and yet all we're really doing is looking at each other through the lens of these bodies that we made, and not seeing beyond the form of these bodies to the truth in all of us, which is that Christ. If we did see that, she says, then we would see the holiness in each other because we're seeing Christ. We're no longer seeing. And this is, of course, what the greeting Namaste means. The holiness in me bows to the holiness in you. But you may say, what about all those people who are hurting others in the world? What about all those people out there who are causing suffering? How can I even begin to see their holiness? Well, A Course in Miracles tells us there's no degree in difficulty in miracles. And there's no degree of harm being caused in the world. A huge amount of suffering is cured in the same way as we perceive a small amount of suffering. How? We eat our spiritual spinach. We change our perception of those around us, and we extend God's love in the world. That is our function, no matter what the situation is between us or before us, whether we see it as something big or something tiny. As I've said many times before, though, this doesn't mean we just accept suffering in the world. It doesn't mean that we allow those who may abuse us or harm us to remain in our lives. It doesn't mean that we turn a blind eye to those causing suffering on what appears to be a larger level. What it does mean is this: we eat our spiritual spinach. Because Chodron says it allows us to relate with all the demons. So we continue to work for peace and love and mercy and justice in the world, but we do it from a very different place than when we believed in original sin. We do it from a place of love, from a place of gentleness and kindness and mercy and joy, instead of a place of anger or vengeance or fear or anxiety. We are much more effective at ending the suffering of the world in this manner simply because we're not putting more fear, hatred, and vengeance into the world. And this is not spiritual bypass. It's actually a call to do the really hard inner work of healing our own penchant for fear and grievance and attack so we can be that pure extension of love into the world. And we do that by wanting to see those around us differently. Not as pig pens stained by original sin, but as our holy, originally blessed siblings. And if we can reach this point, Jubilants, where we see everyone around us, as A Course says in Lesson 61, as one whom heaven cherishes, the angels love, and God created perfect, you could scarce refrain from kneeling at their feet. Take that into Walmart. Whoever's blocking your lane, you're like, oh, you're beautiful. Oh my God. I can't take it. How gorgeous you are. It'll go over well in Walmart. You'll just be among the other crazies in Walmart. It'll be just fine. And maybe somebody gets a kick out of it. And they think better of themselves for a moment or two. Hey, it could happen. It could be a beautiful experiment. Let's all go in and kneel at the feet of people in Walmart. Indeed, this is the next step that we are called to take. To drop all of our grievances, all of our forms of attack, and see everyone in Christ's vision. This is an advanced step, but if we can do it, if we can approach the world with nothing but bodhicitta, or an awakened heart that is always extending love, then we will find that all the Blutos and the pig pens of the world, they disappear. They're just not even part of our reality anymore. As I said last week, I discovered this to be true the moment I felt that sense of compassion and gratitude for all those anti-LGBTQ people who constantly challenged me about my sexual orientation. It made me mad. But when I could finally see the holiness in them, that was the moment that they disappeared. Are they still out there? Oh, sure, there are homophobes everywhere. And I continue to work to end the suffering they cause, but now I don't do it with an angry debate or by denouncing them as bad people. Instead, I see them as holy, as originally blessed. They are my siblings who are so deeply unconscious in their fear that they don't even understand the harm that they do to themselves and others through their actions. And that's the moment I can have compassion for them. So when I do act to counter their message of fear or hatred, I can do it from a spirit of love. They can overcome the harm they may cause to the world. I'm no longer adding more fear. I'm no longer adding more loathing or hatred or grievance to the situation. And this jubilance is what we are called to do, to be the miracle workers by first changing our perception of those around us, and then learning about our own infinite holy strength that allows us to be used by the holy to extend that pure love into the world. I want you to hear good news this morning, jubilants. You have no enemies. You have no one telling lies on you that you need to fear or defeat. You are not surrounded by pig pens who are cursed to forever be stained by sin. You yourself are not a pig pen. You are surrounded by holy, originally blessed, and innocent siblings who have simply lost their way. They have forgotten who they are, and they are relying on us to remember for them and hold that space for them to remember. And in the meantime, we do our work. We eat our spiritual spinach. We do our spiritual practices that remind us of who we truly are so we can extend that love in every moment. And we can do it out of habit. And that forms because we understand that we are that love and we always have been. So jubilants, the question is, who are you still seeing as the pig pens and the Blutos of the world that make you angry or fearful or despairing? I invite you to do as children suggest. Seek out the weak spots in your ego where you can muster even the tiniest shard of love or compassion for that person. Use your spiritual practices to break through that weak spot and genuinely begin to feel love and compassion for them. The strength we all possess is that bodhicitta, that awakened heart of love that created us like itself. This is the practice we're called to, jubilants. Not everyone will respond to that call, but for those of us who want to see the suffering of the world ended, this is our function, to be the miracle workers. So I invite you to try it out this week. Maybe don't start with Vladimir Putin or some other world figure, but maybe don't start at Walmart. I don't know. Maybe like me, you can begin with that lying third grade tattletale who you haven't completely forgiven yet. Because why would she come up in my mind if I hadn't completely let her go? Find that weak spot of love. Find that little tear in the wall of your ego that is compassion, and seek to change your perception about them. And then try to extend that love of the holy to them. All minds are joined on the level of spirit. So whatever amount of love, compassion, peace, or joy you can muster up and send to another, it will be received on that level. It may not appear to do much to change the outward actions of these people, but don't let that discourage you. Because as you send love and peace and joy to them, you are also sending it to yourself. There's only one of us here, right? This is your spiritual spinach because it will remind you that you have the strength to change your mind and become the open extension of God's love in the world. And when that kind of love becomes our superpower in this world, then we'll all be answering every call for love we hear with a hearty and happy, oh yeah, oh yeah. Breathe deeply. I have to tell you how this works. I went and dropped a package off at the UPS store last week, and as I went back to my car, there was a dude. I was parked right next to the handicap spot, and there was a dude who had just sort of put his truck sort of catty corner in the handicap spot right next to my car. I couldn't get into my car because he had his door open and he was sitting there. And the me who existed maybe even about a year ago would have been completely irritated. And we're just like, what's up with this guy? He's in my way, is what my ego would have said to me. And I want to tell you, since the first of the year, I have been reading the complete and annotated version of A Course in Miracles, and it has so much more material than the one that the Foundation of Inner Peace's version that everybody else reads. It's amazing. And I've been doing my study every morning. I've been eating my spiritual spinach. And it paid off. Because as I approached my car and I saw the situation, and I breathed deeply, I was like, and the guy got out of his car and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, dude, you're cool. You're all right. You take your time. I got all the time in the world. You take your time. He was an older gentleman. And I'm just like, you take your time. And he was like, is that the FedEx store? And I said, no, that's the UPS store. And he's like, where's the FedEx? Do you know where the FedEx store is? And I'm like, well, the Google could tell us. You know, let's look it up and see where you need to go. I had the most pleasant and wonderful conversation with this man. Because I ate my spiritual spinach. Because I walked out and saw a situation that would have angered me not a year ago. And all I could do when I looked at that man was go, what can I do for you? You're gorgeous. What a beautiful, beautiful representation of the Christ you are. Wow. And I get to spend a few minutes with you. What a beautiful. I got to not do that. I'm not going to get up at some point. I'm down here, so just, you know. That's right, I need Charles's cane. Knees are popping, so. But anyway, it was so cool. Because he walked away happy, I walked away happy. Everybody had a good time. And I got to tell you one more thing, because as I was preaching this kind of, I didn't know how to work this in, but I think I do now. So, when Popeye first came out, you know, parents saw the big chance to get their kids to eat spinach, right? Because of a mathematical error. The scientist who was, you know, figuring out how many grams of iron or whatever is in spinach, he misplaced a decimal point. And so everyone believed that there were 35 milligrams of iron in spinach, when there's really 3.5. So because I'm like, how do I work this into the sermon? And I think it came to me. So, sometimes we have to believe that our spiritual practices are more powerful than they are. We have to believe they're 35 milligrams, so we'll do it, so we'll take it in. It's really only 3.5. It really is. They really are. But what happens is we get in the habit of eating our spiritual spinach, and then we realize the decimal point moves because inside it really is 35. It really is. Sometimes we gotta trick ourselves to eat our spiritual spinach. So I'm going to tell you, your spiritual spinach is 35 milligrams. Swear to God. Eat up. You're going to get strong. So I invite you, breathe deeply. Where are you in need of some spiritual spinach this morning? What part do you need to fortify? You need more study, more meditation, more talking in community with other people, getting support that way. Whatever it is, I invite you to ask Spirit to guide you in this moment, to show you what spiritual spinach has that good 35 milligrams of iron. So you can fortify yourself and realize that strength has always been inside of you. And it's always there when you need it. Oh, yeah. Breathe deeply. One of the necessary evils of this world is money. We need it to grow, we need it to survive, we need it to stay in this place and do our thing. And so we invite you to support us. If you're out there in TV land, you can go to jubileecircle.com. There is a donate button right there on the front page, and we thank you for your past support, your support now, and your support in the future. And I'm going to pass this basket around. Y'all can you? And if you don't have cash, there's a Venmo QR code that will help you guys out. And there are some folks who already give online, so we thank you so much for that. All right. And so if you want to write a good old-fashioned check, you can go to Post Office Box 4611, Columbia, South Carolina, 29240. And before we let everybody go, let's do a few announcements, and then we'll move on from there. So in your bulletin, you will see announcements. And next Sunday, Deb Varn will be here. She will be bringing the message and doing the music. And I'm going to be at Clayton Memorial Unitarian Universalist in Newberry. So I'll be there. Deb will be here. It's going to be fun. There is Art Church coming up this afternoon from 4 to 6 in the Sound and Art Healing Center next door to us. So that is happening. So you'll be doing some art. And while you've got some music and sound healing going on, March 24th, Richard and the Twins will be here in the living room. Tickets are $10 at the door, BYOB, but there will be some snacks. The Columbia Operatic Laboratory is doing 4 singers walk into a bar here at the living room on March 31st. And that's 4 singers and their egos walk into a bar to try to pick up dates, and they sing opera about it. So it's gonna be fun. Tickets are $10 there. Again, there'll be snacks and drinks, but BYOB. And then Friday, June 2nd, the Green Swamp Collective, which is an Americana Sumter-based band, will be here in the living room. And again, all disclaimers are the same, $10 at the door, BYOB. Soundy School is always at 10:30 on Sunday morning next door. And Course in Miracles group is Tuesdays at 7. And Lee McEachern leads that. And we talk about the course in a very relaxed setting. Were there any other announcements I need to know about or make? Yes, Beth. Oh, yes. Yeah, I got this all over here, and I've forgotten. So I'm excited about what's coming to the living room. Clayton King is producing weekly, or 2 times a week, dinner cabaret shows after dinner. So there'll be desserts 2 times a month. So he'll be doing it the second, looks like he's gone for the second week of the month. So our first one is April 11th and 13th, which is a Tuesday and Thursday night. $20 at the door, and if you have not heard Clayton King sing, oh my word, you are in for a treat. So he's going to have this whole cabaret show for the next 6 months. So if you missed the first week, we're going to keep on doing it for the next 6 months. Also, the other thing that is exciting about this is that Clayton knows what he's doing. Man, he's an amazing producer, and so what we do. To pay for all of this and the singers and everything, there's tickets at the door, but we're going to sell advertising for a playbill. And so the playbill will look like this. This is actually the advertising brochure. So if you know anyone who has a business or anyone who might support this show series, please, I've got a bunch of these. You can take them with you, and when you go and talk to someone, you can tell them, this is what it looks like. Your full page ad, your quarter page, half page, and on the back is like an order form that they can go ahead and do that. And so this is how we're going to make some money with this for the living room, for Jubilee Circle, and for Clayton and his production house. So help us sell some ads. So the more ads we sell, the more support everyone gets, including the performers. We can probably pay them a little bit more too. So come to the cabaret. It's going to be great. It's the monthly after-dinner cabaret beginning on April 11th and 13th. And there are tickets, and I'll be putting up a link and everything on Jubilee's website. So you'll have all of those details so you can come and enjoy. They're going to be singing Broadway tunes and classics, and so it's going to be a fun night. For 6 months, they're going to change up the show and do all sorts of other different performers as well. So you'll get something new every month. All right, great. I think that's it. Okay. So just to remind everybody and remind you as well, the band can come on up here and we can sing our way out. Actually, I guess we can go ahead and just sing our way out for everybody. So we'll just keep rolling. You guys get to see the actual end this time, all right? So remember, as Meister Eckhart has told us, that if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. And it is enough because that prayer of thank you is one that puts us right here in this present moment. Y'all can stand up because we're going to do a little dancing to get ourselves out of here and get ourselves out into the new week. And so together we say thank you, and we say, oh yeah. We all walk together, hand in hand, side by side. We all walk together with hearts and arms open wide. We make our way by walking, and love will be alive. The path is always open, no trap lies tonight. So open up your heart, forget those tears and cry, because we all walk together, hand in hand, side by side. We all walk together, hand in hand, and side by side. Oh yeah. Go in peace. Go in peace.